Hello everyone. Welcome to the social science class. Today we will be picking up the geography chapter. It's the social science subject, and from there we will be learning about geography. So without wasting much time, let's get into the chapter. I will be sharing the ebook with you. All right. So the chapter that we'll be doing today, the name of the chapter is Land and Soil, and it is the second chapter of geography. The first chapter is not there in the syllabus. It's not required in the syllabus as of now. We'll be starting with the second chapter, that is Land and Soil. Okay, so land and soil, from the word itself, when you hear the word land and soil, the immediate thing that comes to our mind is something where living beings reside, right? And it is something which is an important part of every living thing on the earth, right? It is inseparable from us. So in this chapter, we'll be trying to look how land is so important, how we are seeing how, because of human activities, the land spaces are decreasing day by day, and how that is creating an imbalance in the nature. So the chapter starts with a small discussion. Let's read that. Aparajita came back to her city after 4 years of studying engineering. She observed that her favorite park is taken over by land developers for constructing a housing colony. Her college near the outskirts of the village in other parts of the country was also built on what was once agricultural land. This left her wondering as to why are people making buildings all over. Where will they eventually grow food? Do you have any answers to their questions? Let's discuss this in class now. Similar thing, let me give an example from my own experience. When I was small, in my own area, like, our house was the only house in my area, and another, like, a bit far from my house, there will be 3 to 4 houses there, like very less houses in my locality when I was small. But during that time from and today's time, if I see a comparison, I can see a huge difference. Earlier, there used to be I still remember, there used to be a huge field right in front of my house. Whenever we wanted to play, we used to just go and play there. But now, when I just think of a childhood, and right now the time whenever I go home, it's like, my God, the time has changed so much. Today you will see only concretes around. It's all buildings, it's all houses. Hardly there's any open space left. Now we feel like so suffocating. You do not find fresh air. It's so suffocating everywhere. Now, why did this happen? This is because of the land is being used so much for commercial purposes, or for personal use. The land space got reduced day by day, and how we are reducing this land space? By cutting more and more trees, right? By clearing forest, we are using that land for our own motives. So in this way, we are not only harming the nature, we are also harming ourselves. We're not understanding as of now, like, by by reducing so much of land space, or by reducing the natural space, how much we are harming ourselves. Now, there will be a time when we will have to stop for the fresh oxygen. We will have to buy oxygen. I think somewhere I saw in the internet, like, in somewhere in Delhi, uh, there is this a shop is open where they're selling oxygen. All right, so this is the condition now, where you will have to, you're starving for oxygen, for fresh air, right? So again, it is we are human beings who are responsible for destroying our nature. And I think nature's fury, we can see in 2020, so many natural incidents are coming up, have taken place. How furious is nature, is Mother Earth on us, because we are torturing the nature so much. And I think it is we, again, human being, who can again bring that balance back, right? So it is all in our hands. If we learn how to use our natural resource judiciously, I think Mother Earth will also be not so furious on Earth, and we can all live a balanced life. Okay, so let's see what is the chapter. So land is a abiotic component. We all know that land is not a living, it is abiotic, as in it is a non-living component. And as I said, land is indispensable, or it is inseparable from us. It is a very important part of every living thing that is on the earth. It is on this resource that infrastructure like settlement, transportation lines, etc. are meant for human comfort. So it is on this land only we have human settlement, we have transportation lines, we have cultivation. Everything is done on this land only, right? Then it also provides us with open landscapes, and also it is the same land as where it will also provide you space for recreation. You can go if you have open field, as I said. If you have, I had a field when I was a child in front of my house. We used to play there. That was used as a space for recreation. Now, at least 90% of the population of the world occupies only 30% of the available land. But see, in the entire world, if you see, there is almost 90% of the 90% population. Not all the portion of the land is occupied by human population. uh, about only 30% occupies only 30% of the available land. All right, only 30% land which is available in the earth surface, that is occupied by human beings. uh, this is because certain parts of land is hospitable than other parts. We all know that human population cannot reside in in all the parts of the world, right? Only in those places where climate is comfortable, where there is fertile land. So many other such factors contributes for a human existence. So only in 30% of the available land of the world, human population exists. Why? Because not all parts of the land of the earth is hospitable, is usable, is you cannot reside everywhere. Human population cannot reside everywhere. Now, this uneven distribution of population, why is this uneven distribution of population? In some places the population is more, in some places there is no population at all. Why? Because of the climate and topography. Like in Antarctica, you will see there is no human population. Why? Because of it is all snowy there. You cannot human beings cannot reside there, right? So similar is the case. If it is extreme hot, you will not be able to reside there. So it all depends upon the climate and topography of a particular area where human population will be there. All right, the variation, the more and less of a human population depends upon the climate and topography of a particular land. Then the next part, coming to the classification of land and population pattern it creates. And let's look into what is the how land is classified. Now, first one is on the basis of relief. Now, what is relief? Land is classified into plains, plateaus, and mountains. All right, we have a topography. Our land, every yeah, relief. It is the criteria or the description of a particular area, like whether it's a plain area or it is a hilly area, it is a rocky area or mountainous zone. All right, it depends. So the classification of land definitely depends on the relief. All right, now those areas which are in plains, those plain areas, suitable climatic condition for farming are densely populated, and the plain areas are most densely populated. The population is more in plain areas. Why? Because uh, the climatic condition in those areas is more is good. ষ্টিমত দিছে অকমান বইল কৰি পেলাই ষ্টিমত দিবা, নহলে নিসিজিব। অলপ বইলত দি ষ্টিমত দি। So we were saying that in the plain areas the population is more. Why? The climatic condition is suitable there. Then land areas with steep slopes, low-lying areas that are prone to flooding, deserts with extreme hot or cold climate, thick forests are lesser density of population. As I already said, those climate or in those areas where the climate is extreme, the population will be very less there. If it is too cold or too hot, you will find less population. Or if the place is if the place is too hilly, in those areas also you will find less population. All right. So grasslands such as alpine meadows. So alpine meadow, these are all vegetations. All right, these are example of vegetation. These are grasslands such as alpine meadows that are excellent for pasture lands. Pasture lands means where you can use for grazing. All right, grazing of animals, sheep and goats. You graze there. So alpine meadow, which is a grassland, and those are used for pasturing lands, are moderately populated. Those grasslands are not too much populated or not less populated. It is like moderately populated. and also, and if it is a mountainous region, then that area will be less populated. So now we got to understand that on the basis of relief, the population also get distributed. All right, that is, if the relief like plain area or hilly area or mountainous area, right? So if the place is plain area, then the population is more there. Now if the place is like the too hot or too cold, or it is too hilly area, too rocky area, then the population will be less there. Similarly, if it is a mountainous area, as I said, the population will be less. And in areas like the grasslands, which is the example given here, alpine meadows, which are used for pastoring, which are used as pastoring land or for grazing, those areas are moderately populated, not that high population and not that low population. Then moving on to the next part, on the basis of soil fertility. Now let's look what is on the basis of soil fertility. It is classified into barren land and fertile land. It's quite obvious, right? So if a area which has high fertile land, the population will be more there. And in barren land are less productive because it's not that fertile. So population also depends on the basis of soil fertility. If the soil fertility is more in an area, then you will find more human population there. And if the soil fertility is less, or it is barren land, then you will find less human population. And the next is on the basis of development. How developed an area is, you will, on that basis, land is classified, or the human population gets classified as urban area, which supports industrial economy, and rural area which supports agricultural economy. We all know it is mostly in the urban areas where the more industries are there. Technological development is more in the urban areas as compared to the rural areas, and rural areas are basically agricultural economy. So if we see the population density in urban areas, the population density is more than in rural areas. Okay. Then the next one is on the basis of ownership of land. All right. Now, who owns the land? Now it is classified into private land and community land. Private land means which you use for your own purpose. All right. And what is community land? And those land that is used by that is owned by the government. All right. So in an area, if a place which has both privately owned and community owned land, all right, if people have lot owning the land in an area, then the population will be more there. All right, because people will build up their own houses, then that community land, like government will also use that land for its own purpose, for building up complexes there. So any kind of commercial purpose the government might use up, or for its own purpose. So on the basis of ownership, so if in an area there is more of private and community land that is owned, then uh, the population will be more there. All right. So we have till now understood the 4 basic classification of land, and what type and how on that classification a population is based on that type of classification. First was on the basis of relief, that is whether it's a plain area, hilly area, or mountainous area. The population totally depends on that. Next is on the basis of soil fertility, whether the soil is fertile or barren. On that, the distribution of population depends. Then next is on the basis of development, how developed is a particular area. If an area is more developed, especially the urban area, it is more densely populated than the rural areas. Then on the ownership of land, if an area has both private land and community land, then the population will be more there. If people have more private land, if land ownership is more, then population will be also more there. All right, so I make sense till here? All right, so the next part of the chapter is land use. So we will be seeing here what is land utility. Okay, so what is land use? From the word itself you can make it out. Land use means how much land is utilized, all right, by human beings or for any other purposes. So the utilization of land for various purposes like agriculture, mining, construction is known as land use. So as I said, when you use the land for different kind of purposes, that is called land use, or the utility of the land. Now you can see here are 4 pictures given. In the first picture, you can see that there is a farmer and beside there is another farmer who is plowing the land. There are only two huts, and there are fields on the side. There are fields. Then on this, in the second picture, you can see the huts got transformed into concrete houses now. And um, and also you can see on the back also there are no huts anymore. There are like concrete houses, all right. And instead of plowing, the person is using a tractor. Yes. In the next picture again, you can see there are no more houses, like only one or two houses. Like it's like more houses, like many houses. And there is no agricultural field, no more agricultural field, and it's all, and it got filled up with transport, or with many vehicles. And the second picture, like the shape of the houses got changed. Now it's like too many buildings and buildings in all around. Like you know there are too many vehicles. All right. So what did we understand from this? How much land is used, how for various purpose the land space is used, and how the land space also got reduced because of this. In the first picture, as you can see, there was more of greenery, there was more of open space. Then in the second picture, you can see there was technological development, as the plowing, as there is no more plowing here. It is done through tractor came. Then the structure of the houses also got changed. Then the third and the fourth picture, you can see there's rapid development, that there's change in the vehicles, there's change in the roads. There is no paddy fields, no agricultural fields, all concrete houses. So this is how we say how we are using the land. This is how we are doing the same in today's world also. We are building and building more and more constructions for our use. Now, so as it is, as I said, from this picture, we can see how over the years land have used, and in terms of development and infrastructure. So in terms of development and infrastructure, we can make out from the whole picture, the whole story from the picture itself, right? How changes took place in this entire story of the picture. Now, the pattern in which a land is used. Now, land use depends basically on two factors. Now, in what, like pattern is in what basis we will be using a land? It depends on two factors, the pattern in which a land is used. The first one is physical factor of the land. Okay, now physical factors includes what? Soil, climate, soil type. What is the type of the soil? What is the climatic condition? Mineral, water contents. These are all the physical factors of the land, and this affects the land use. So if the soil is fertile, that means there will be more human population. If the climate is good in that area, that means the population will be more, right? If the water content and mineral content of the soil is more, that means the soil is more fertile. There we will find more cultivation, a more human population will be there. All right. So physical factors like so these are the physical factors which affects the land use. The next is human factors. I think human factors, you can see it from here. Population is a human factor. Then technology, all right. Then availability of market, capital, all these are human factors. Like say for example, as we see here in the first picture, the physical factor played a very important role, because the soil is fertile here, because it is a fertile land. The climatic condition also is favorable, that is why they are able to cultivate land here. And the human population is it's moderate, all right. It's not too high, all right. Then so this is human factor. Then come to picture C and D. Sorry, the first picture is physical factor, we can relate it to physical factor. Now come to picture C and D. Now these are human factors. Now as time passes by, now there is more development of technology, more development of infrastructure. With that, what happened? People also start to especially come to these urban areas, because we see more of infrastructure development and technology development more in the urban areas. So these are the basically human factors, the building of the growth of buildings, the construction of buildings, and the construction of more concretes. Roads have changed. There is street lights now. So all these are human factors which are responsible in what type a land is used. Okay, the first one is physical factor. Physical factors include especially the soil type, the climatic condition. All right. Then human factors include the population, the development of technology, then we have market availability, then we have capital investment, not availability of capital. So all these are the the human factors. Then the amount of land available for use to mankind decreases when population increases. This is quite obvious, right? We all know the land use will decrease as human population will increase, because when human population increase, people will start to use more of the land. People will be building more houses. People will be building, constructing more roads, right? So in that, when population increases, the land availability also decreases. Thus, a proper planning is required to get the maximum benefits from the available land. So it is, we need to think about ways how we can, you know, get maximum benefits from the available land without destroying it much. How we can use the land without destroying it much. Okay, so I think you have understood till here what is land use and what are the factors responsible for land use. Then coming to the next part of the chapter, we have land degradation and land conservation. So land degradation, again, I think you have heard about this term before also. What is land degradation? Degrade means to reduce the quality of something. All right, when quality of anything reduces, that is called degradation. So we are talking about the reduction of the quality of land degradation. So land degradation refers to the decline in the productivity of cultivable land or forest land. So when the fertility of a certain piece of land decreases, or when the productivity of a certain piece of land decreases, then it is known as land degradation. As I said, the quality of the land, when it decreases, then it is known as land degradation. Then how does land degradation takes place? It takes place because of the unscientific use of land, because of increased pressure on the land, and increased pressure of the land to meet the increasing demand of the increasing population. As I said, because as human population is increasing, we are also putting a lot of pressure on our land. Yes, so land degradation, why it takes place? It is because of the unscientific use, because human beings are using it in an unscientific way. We are not thinking about our future. That is why we are, and our population is also increasing. In that way, we are putting a lot of pressure on the land, and in that way, it is degrading the land quality. Now, excessive exploitation of land occurs due to, now what are the different activities, human activities, that causes land degradation? Like exploitation of the land by using excessive chemicals. All right, if you put on excessive chemicals, the fertility of the land goes away. The actual content of the soil, it started to reduce. Then because of intensive farming, deforestation, that is a very common reason, no, because of cutting down of too much of trees. Then using fertile land, those land which were earlier fertile, now people have started construction there. So fertile land have just went on waste, right? People have started to reside there. So then shifting cultivation, practice of shifting cultivation, we know shifting cultivation is, no, in a particular time of year, cultivation will be done, and once in for a few months cultivation will be done in that area, and when that month's time get over, they will shift to another area, and when they shift, they will also burn that area. And when you follow that process, the fertility of the soil gets reduced. All right, shifting cultivation hampers the quality of the soil, fertility of the soil, it hampers because of the shifting and burning process. That land gets burned again. After some years, again they will come and cultivate in that same land. So in that process, when you repeat the same thing in the same area over and over again, the fertility gets reduced. All this, so then soil erosion. All right, then soil desertification, and because of these activities like in intensive farming, then use of excessive chemicals, then deforestation, all this leads to what? It leads to natural actions like soil erosion, which is a very common natural natural disaster that we hear about. Soil erosion. Why soil erosion? Because there are no trees to hold the roots. The roots are becoming loose, and that is why the soil gets eroded. Then there is desertification. There is less of trees. Most of the places are turning into barren and deserts. then all these activities of human being does leads to depletion of the natural resource, and this creates an ecological imbalance. This is all about land degradation, when the quality of the land decreases due to the intervention of many human activities, like as I said, so extensive use of chemicals, intensive farming, then deforestation. All this depletes the soil quality, and also it creates an imbalance in the environment. Next is after land conservation. Now we have degraded our soil. Now it is also the responsibility lies also in our hand to conserve the soil. How we will conserve the soil? So it is necessary to put a check on the degradation of the land to avoid its misuse. So we need to put a check on how much land we are using. We need to also try, we just cannot go on using over and over again. We should also try our best to conserve it. The need for any land conservation arises that helps in optimum utilization of this resources. Any modification in land use should be done after a detailed survey. So one of the very good suggestion that is given, when before using a piece of land, you should have proper knowledge about that land. A particular survey has to be should be made, like how much extent I can use this land. Now if you cross like everything, when it crosses the limit, it will harm, right? So for a certain land also, if you keep on using a land uh, overcrossing its capacity, then definitely the soil quality will start to reduce. So it is very important for us, before using a piece of land, to understand how much capacity the soil has, how much we need to use in that, how much we need to make use of that land. So we also need to, and activities like afforestation, planting of more trees, then land reclamation. Just a minute, I have this. Okay, so there are these processes like afforestation, land reclamation. Afforestation means planting of more trees. Land reclamation means it is a process of creating new land, all right, where you are creating new land from ocean, riverbeds, or lake beds, all right. So this is that is known as land reclamation. Then regular use of, like, no, there should be a controlled use of pesticides and fertilizers. It should not be excessive use, unless anything that you use more, that can be harmful. And also planting of shelter belts. Now what are shelter belts? Shelter belts are, where you plant series of trees or a line of trees in a farm, so that it can protect the field from high wind or high speed wind, or it can protect the field from shade, or it can provide shade to the field, all right, that are known as shelter belts, all right. Planting of more trees in a line, all right, protecting the field from high speed wind, and also it will provide shelter. So by adopting such kind of activities, we can definitely conserve our land. Okay, so now we have learned about land degradation, and also we have learned about land conservation. Now there is this section of rapid round. I think you can answer this. Name the two factors that decides the pattern of land use. That is physical factor and human factor. How is land classified on the base of fertility of the soil? Then why the human population is unevenly distributed? The answer to the second question is based on the fertility of the soil, land is classified into barren land and uh, fertile land. What was it? Barren land and, let me check once. Fertile land, yeah, it was classified in the barren land and fertile land. Then we have, why is the population unevenly distributed on the earth? I think you can write that answer, because not all available lands on the earth's surface can be occupied by human population, right? There are places where they which exist with extreme temperature, or or the relief also has an impact on that. So if the temperature is extreme, then then in those areas we will find less of human population. Then state name any two physical factors that affects land use. Physical factors like soil, climate, right? So these are the physical factors. Then state any two methods of land conservation. We have already come across afforestation, land reclamation, and using control use of pesticides and fertilizers, and planting of shelter belts. All right. Now next come to soil. The next part of the chapter we will be talking about soil. What is soil? We all know what is soil, right? We all see soil, we can touch the soil, right? So let's see what is this soil. It is that layer of the earth it is that layer of the earth which is a bit rough in its texture, and it covers the earth's surface. So the definition of the soil is soil. It is the granular loose substance. It is a loose structure or loose textured substance on the surface of the earth, right? It is formed from disintegration of rock and decayed organic matter. So how is soil formed? When it is formed by disintegration, or disintegration means breakdown of rocks. When rocks break down, and also the decayed organic matters with the mixture of dead plants and animals. Decayed organic matter means the dead plants and animals. When it gets mixed, then soil gets formed. The right mixture of minerals and organic matter in the soil makes it fertile. So if the mixture of the disintegrated rock and the decayed organic matter is all right, like all the correct things falls together, then that land will be a fertile piece of land. Now let's see here the actual process of how soil formation takes place. Soil is formed due to the weathering of parent rock. Parent rock is the main rock or the original rock that is known as the parent rock. So it is the original rock from which something else is formed. So soil is formed due to weathering. Weathering means the breaking down of the parent rock. Now weathering breaks the rock into smaller particles with different sizes. So when the parent rock breaks down, it will break down into smaller pieces of several sizes. All right. These particles will then get mixed with, as I said, with decayed organic matter, that is like dead animals or plants or insects. All right. Then after the mixture of this parent rock and the dead organic matters, now there will be a biological action taking place of the bacteria. All right. Bacterial action will take place. A biological action will take place of the bacteria, and which will cause decomposition, and the organic matter will get decomposed. All right. And after that, it will give rise to humus. Now what is humus? Humus is the topmost layer of the soil, and it is produced by the decomposition of those dead plants and animals. And because of the humus, the soil, the presence of humus gives the dark color to the soil. All right. And humus is very much essential to maintain the fertility of the soil. Okay. So after the rock gets withered or broken down from the parent rock, after that it will get decomposed. It will get mixed with the dead organic matters, and after that mixture takes place, then there will be a biological process that will go on of the bacteria, which will get decomposed, and it will give rise to humus. And humus, it is very much essential for the fertility of the soil. And because of the presence of humus is the topmost layer of the soil, and it is produced by the decomposition of organic dead plants and animals, and it is because of the humus that the color, that which gives the dark brown color to the soil. Then soil formation is a slow process, and soil formation it does not like happens in a few hours or in 1 or 2 days. It is a very slow process and it takes years, thousands of years to just produce a few inches of soil. From years after years, a soil is formed. It takes a lot of time. Now we can see here what are the factors that influences. The next part of the chapter is factors. Now we understood what is soil, how is soil formed. Now let's see what are the factors that affects the soil formation. All right, what are the, I think we have got to know the factors. Like the factors is like weathering of parent rock, then factors like presence of organic materials, then factors like giving rise of humus, existence of humus. All right, all these are factors, but still let's see in details what are the other factors that affect soil formation. The first one, we all know that when erosion takes place, like when erosion takes place through heavy wind or rainfall, it not only erode the parent rock after erode, but also those rocks that got eroded, it will be transported and deposited. All right, but also it also will get transported and deposited somewhere else. All right, so now let's look into the different factors of soil formation. The first one is the nature of the parent rock. So parent rock, as we know, parent rock is the original rock from which the smaller rocks will break down. So what is the nature of parent rock? The parent rock should, what does it, how does it help in soil formation? Because of the nature of because of the parent rock, what kind of parent rock? That will give the color of the soil, it will give the texture of the soil, the chemical composition to the soil, and the mineral content and permeability. Permeability means how much water it can absorb. All right, how much it can absorb or retain. That is the permeability of the soil. For example, erosion of sandstone. If sandstone gets eroded, it will give rise to sandy soil. All right, similarly, if basalt soil if the rock basalt, if basalt gets eroded, it will give rise to black soil. All right, so the nature of the parent rock, what kind of rock is that have a direct relation with the type of the soil. Okay, so the parent rock, it is responsible for giving color, texture, chemical composition, mineral content, and permeability to the soil. Next is climatic condition. Now, what are the climatic conditions? Climatic conditions like temperature, rainfall, all affects the rate of weathering. All right. For example, decomposition of organic matter is rapid in humid climate. Suppose if in a place where rainfall is too high or the wind is high there, the weathering of the parent rock will be too fast there because of the high speed of the wind. So climatic condition also plays a very important role regarding the temperature, the speed of the wind, the speed of the rainfall has a direct connection with the formation of the soil. All right. The next is topography. Topography means the description of a certain area, what type of climate or whether it is a hilly area or mountainous or plain area, that is known as topography. That means it is the description of a place. Okay, so topography, now how topography influences soil formation. It determines the thickness of the soil. Now, topography has a direct relation with in determining the how thick the soil will be. All right, flat areas will have thick soil layers, while slopes have thin soil cover. So in plain areas, the thickness, the size, the thickness of the soil will be more. But as you move higher, and if the altitude is more, it will become the soil cover will become thin, and the soil will become more thinner as the soil layer is thinner as it is washed away along the slope by flowing water. And as you go more higher of the altitude, as you travel more high, the soil will be more thinner. Why? Because when the in slopy areas, the soil, it is very much, it gets washed away very soon. Like if rainfall comes, if there is if there is high wind, then because of the slopy nature and of its hilly topography, the soil will get eroded very soon. All right, so that is why a topography determines the thickness of the soil. In plain areas, the thickness will be more, and then slopy areas or in more hilly areas, the thickness it will be thinner, more thinner soil layer. Now, living organisms. Now we said organic matters plays a very important role. A soil which has more dead organic matters, that means that soil is very much fertile. So living organisms such as earthworms, bacteria, etc. aerate the soil. Aerate means to give oxygen supply to the soil and contribute to its fertility. Roots of the plants also aerate the soil and check soil erosion. So if more living organisms are present in the soil, that means more oxygen supply to the soil. So and such kind of soil are more uh, uh, fertile soil. All right, so existence of living organism has the direct relation with the soil formation. And time we got to know that soil takes a lot of time, so soil formation takes a lot of time. So time determines the maturity of the soil profile. The longer time the parent is exposed to weathering, the more mature soil it will be. All right. Now, if the parent rock is exposed, like it takes a lot of time for weathering, that means that soil will also take a lot of time to get mature. All right. But and also the the soil which will form first will be always deposited at the bottom, and the younger soil and the soil which forms later will be deposited on the top. So that means the soil which is always in the lower layer, that is the much more mature soil than the soil that is at the top layer. Because why? The soil layer that is at the top, that is at the below, has taken more time to have has taken a lot of time to get deposited, or the parent rock was exposed for weathering for a longer time. All right, so time also plays a very important role in the formation of the soil. So you can see this in this circle, in this diagram. First, as we know, soil formation. First is the nature of the parent rock. As we know, parent rock, how much time it takes. The parent rock, nature of the parent rock will give the color to the soil, the texture to the soil, the mineral content and permeability to the soil. Then we have the climatic condition. Then we have the presence of microorganisms. All right, how much microorganisms, living organisms are there in the soil that will become more fertile. Then we have temperature and rainfall, climatic conditions, right? Then we have the topography, hilly areas, the soil will be thinner. On the other hand, in plain areas, the soil will be thicker. Then the time, how much time soil take. Like if the parent rock is exposed more to weathering, that means that soil will take lot of time to get. That means that soil is mature. All right, and the soil that gets deposited at the below is older soil than the soil which is at the top. I hope you have understood till here. So till now what we have done, first let's do a quick recapitulation. First we learned about land, how only 30% of the land is available for is occupied by human population. Why? Because of the different climate and topography. Then we got to know about the classification of land on the basis of relief, on the basis of soil fertility, then on the basis of development of the area, ownership of land, how land uh, how land is classified, and on that classification the population also, and the population pattern also gets affected. Then we got to know about land use, the meaning of land use, and the two factors which affects land use, that is physical factor and human factors. Then we got to know about land degradation, what are the factors that causes land degradation or the reduction in the quality of the land. Then also we got to know about land conservation, what are the different ways we can conserve our land, right? Like ways like afforestation, planting of more trees, creating more land, which is also known as land reclamation, then controlled use of pesticides or any other chemicals. These are the various ways of land conservation. Then we got to know what is soil. We got to know that soil is a loose texture, loose substance that we find on the earth's surface, right? And we also got to know how soil is formed. Like first the parent rock will get withered, and after the parent rock gets broken down, it will get mixed with organic matters, Then after the rock and the organic matters gets mixed, a biological mixture will, biological action will of the bacteria will take place, which will get decomposed and will give rise to and will form humus. Humus is very much essential for the fertility of the soil, and humus is the topmost layer of the soil. And because of the presence of humus, it adds the dark color to the soil. Then we got to know what are the different factors which affect soil formation, like the pressure, the nature of the parent rock. The nature of the parent rock, like it is the color texture and chemical composition, mineral content, and permeability. All this comes from the nature of the parent rock. All this comes from the nature of the parent rock. Then we have climatic condition. What type of climate does an area support, right? If an area has high rainfall or high speed of wind, then the weathering of the parent rock in that place will be more, right? Then topography, uh, what is the description of that area, whether it is in hilly area or plain area or mountainous area, because in plain area the thickness of the soil is more, while in slopy areas or in hilly areas the soil thickness of the soil is less. Then the presence of living organism, if there are more living organism, then the land will be more fertile. Yes. And also time, that how with time, if a parent rock is exposed more for a longer time for weathering, then that soil will be more matured, all right? And also the matured rock, all mature soil, always it gets settled at the bottom, and the younger soil is always layered at the top. Then we Okay, we will just look at this last part for today's class. We'll just stop here. We will be looking into the soil profile. What is the soil profile? Now, when we plant a tree or when we dig the earth, we have to travel through different layers of the soil. Now, let's see what are the different layers of soil. Now, what is the soil profile? The soil profile is a vertical section or the layering of the soil, all right, from the ground towards the and downwards, from the surface to and from the surface to downwards. কেৰাহীখনত গৰম ৰঙাখন পানী অকণ দি দিয়া আৰু ওপৰত সেই এইখন দি দিয়া, ঢাকনাখন মাৰি দিয়া। So it is the vertical section of the soil from the ground to the from the ground surface to downwards. So in the topmost layer of the soil we have humus, as we have already come across that. What is humus? It is the topmost layer of the soil, and it contains organic matter and the dead remains of plants and animals. We basically find in this topmost layer, that is in the humus, this portion. Then we come to the next layer, that is the topsoil. All right. Topsoil, it is composed of organic matter and minerals and roots of plants and animals, roots of plants, and the main roots you will find in this topsoil. All right, the next layer is the topsoil, which is composed of organic matters, and the roots you will find basically in this topsoil. Then come to the subsoil, but it is mainly composed of clay and soluble minerals. All right, this layer mainly consists of clay and minerals, soluble minerals like iron. All right, and also when rain comes, the rainwater basically gets collected in this subsoil. All right, Then we have the withered rock fragments. Withered means the broken pieces of rocks. In the next layer, we have the broken pieces of rocks, which consist of the withered rock material, and that is known as regolith. This area, this layer, which contains the broken down pieces of rocks, that is known as regolith. And the last layer is the bedrock. Why that is bedrock? Because that is the bottom layer of the soil, and it is made up of the unwithered parent rock. Unwithered means the rock which is not broken, all right, which is not fragmented. So that is basically the parent rock, and the unweathered parent rock consists mainly in the bottom. So this is the main soil profile. What you can in exam you might be asked to know to describe the soil profile with proper diagram. So please make sure that you learn how to draw this diagram of soil profile, and also label them properly, and along with its explanation. What is humus? So first comes humus, then the top layer, topsoil, then we have the subsoil, then we have the weathered rock fragments, and at the bottom we have the bedrock. Okay then class, I'll stop this here. Thank you so much. I hope this class was useful for you. And if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me. Thank you so much.